Hello, everybody. Welcome to unit number 7 in English 262. I am going to share my screen here and we will do a quick walkthrough of this week's assignments. Hopefully, and because it opens on the announcements page, if you did not see it, I gave you a link to my friend Richard George's website where a lot of his poems are available for free. So feel free to take a look at those at your convenience. And let's take a look at our second to last week. So we are focusing this week on, again, sort of that idea that art is universal. And so excuse me, we're going to be looking at some themes in global literature as well as the impact of global literature. And let's take a look first at our readings and resources. We're going to be focusing on three sections of the textbook this week: poetry and the visual arts, which I really enjoy this aspect of poetry. The themes and the figures that you see that recur in literature over and over again, you also see sometimes in the visual arts. One of my favorite examples of this is the Greek myth of Leda and the Swan, which is the mythology behind that, is where Zeus comes down in the form of a swan and has a relationship with the human Leda, and Leda then gives birth to Helen of Troy, which is a really interesting, of course, the trouble that Helen's birth causes gives that story even more impact there. And one of the things that I've found very interesting about it is that both in literature and in the visual arts, you will sometimes see that relationship between Zeus and Leda depicted as a very loving and like an affair, essentially. Other times you will see it depicted pretty much as a God coming down in the form of a swan and raping a human being. I mean, it's crazy how different people can see that same mythology in different ways is really fascinating. So you'll see some of that this week. We're also going to be looking at some translated literature. And so there's some interesting information in your textbook on what it means when we are reading things that are not written in the original language, which can be tricky. And then finally, we have a short story that gives us an interesting and different approach to the theme of war. The Missing Piece, which was originally published in 1996, and the writer is from Haiti. And of course, we have a lot of neighbors in the Caribbean, but a lot of times we don't think about those countries being as close to us as they are. And of course, last week's poet, Richard Georges, is also in the Caribbean and the British Virgin Islands. So a little connection there as well. So those are your readings. And then, as usual, you have two assignments. One is the discussion board. And with this one, you're going to choose any theme you see present in one or more of the signed readings from this unit and explore how you relate to it. Share stories from your own experience in which the same theme resonates. How does sharing our common experiences help us understand others who are unlike us in significant ways? And then, of course, you're going to respond to at least two of your peers, writing at least one well-developed paragraph to each of them. And then, of course, some questions to get you started there. What aspects can you relate to? How are their experiences similar or different from your own? And how does sharing our common experiences help us understand each other? One thing I want to note on this particular one, and this has come up in a couple of others, you want to focus on this week's readings. It's fine to bring in readings that you've read elsewhere or even readings from previous weeks in our course, but make sure that you focus on at least one of this week's assigned readings as well. All right. Then we have our formal writing assignment for Unit 7. So let's go back there and take a look at the assignment there. Um, this is, of course, a paper. Um, it should be done in APA style, just like we've been doing. It needs to be saved either as a Word document or a PDF. So, all the same things that we've been doing as you're submitting assignments in the past. And as always, there is a link that has your PDF um, assignment sheet. Now, again, I'm gonna really encourage you, especially those of you who like to take notes and write down things. I would print these out. I really am a firm believer in that. But this is what we're doing this week. So many argue that literature falls into just a few thematic categories: love, death, hate, war, growing up, family, courage, redemption, and revenge. So I want you to take one of those universal themes and explore works from the course so far. So this assignment does not have to only use the readings from Unit 7. Unlike the discussion board that should focus on Unit 7. This one can deal with any of the works that you want to write about. So write a thematic analysis showing how one or more of the readings from this course explores a common theme. At least one of the readings should be one that you haven't analyzed in an assignment before. Students should refer to, quote from, and cite the primary sources, but you do not have to do any additional research. Now, obviously, if you do additional research, make sure you include those on both your references page and use in-text citations to show when you quote from it or paraphrase from it. And there's the usual reminders about how to write about literature, quote it often, the literature itself, integrate quotes by attaching them to phrases or sentences of your own, give your own interpretation of what that quote illustrates. Never summarize the plot, focus on analyzing it. You can always assume that your reader is familiar with it. And then, of course, again, a reminder that the sample essays that are in the textbook can be really, really helpful, but they are going to be cited in MLA and formatted in MLA. So make sure when you're thinking about citing and formatting our papers that you go back to Unit 1 where the information on APA is located. And as usual, of course, you have your rubric as well. So, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them on the Ask the Instructor discussion board so that everybody can get an answer, or shoot me an email if it's just, something that only you would need to know. But feel free to reach out for help, and I look forward to reading all about it on this week's discussion. Everybody take care and have a great week 7.